Come on.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
You know, there's gotta be some kind of poetry in the fact that I left YouTube with my last video being me bitching about a CGI Resident Evil film, and now my grand return is me having to tackle this CW TV movie sponsored by Wish.com called Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, whose CGI burns worse than the clap.
It burns!
And to think, I had lots to say about the recent Duke Begins trailer that came out, or the Dead Space remake reboot, whatever the fuck. I thought I'd come back to YouTube like a king, working on some new and exciting content.
Guess what, motherfucker?
Nah, this is what management gives me. So the trailer starts with Claire Redfield riding her motorcycle into town. In this story arc, she's no longer a university student. No, she's actually a language arts teacher this time around, educating the audience on story structure.
Every story has a beginning.
We get a few shots of what looks to be a city checkpoint with the Umbrella security service all over the place, including a close-up shot possibly teasing the audience with an appearance from Mr. Death himself. The movie then cuts to Claire talking to her brother Chris about the evils of Umbrella. Chris labels Claire a conspiracy theorist whose conspiracies weren't true when they were kids, and they're not now. Wait, what the fuck? Claire's been obsessed with Umbrella since they were kids. When the fucking and what Aww. Claire's the main character of this movie, isn't she? Anyway, Claire shows Chris a VHS tape of some guy, and I haven't been able to figure out if he's meant to be somebody important from the games. It could be Ben from Resident Evil 2. But he fills us in that Umbrella's been up to some pretty scandalous no-no stuff, and that chances are looking pretty good that something's gonna happen to Raccoon City as a direct result. In between the exposition, we're shown shots of the Raccoon City orphanage, which debuted in 2019's Resident Evil 2 remake, and oh hey, check it out! Neil McDonough is playing William Birkin. He played Wyatt Kane in Tin Man. And Robert Quarles in Justified. Yeah, those are good shows. He's a good actor. What the hell's he doing in this movie? Anyway, the guy on the tape continues to tell Claire and Chris that Umbrella's had an accident of Chernobyl proportions, mixed in with some shots of Jill and Albert Wesker, and oh hey, Lisa Trevor from the Resident Evil remake. Yeah, she's looking a little more human under that dead skin mask than she did in the game. And it kind of looks like she has more cognitive brain function this time around too, telling the audience to hush instead of just bludgeoning us to death like a brute. Next, we see the RPD, a close-up of Leon, some zombies. This guy in the VHS tape isn't wrong. People aren't going to be feeling too good. Are we sure Umbrella didn't disguise the virus as the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine? Man, this movie even shows the truck driver from Resident Evil 2, crashing his truck right outside of the RPD. You get fan service, and you get fan service, and you... Now, the next scene is possibly the scariest bit of cinema I've ever been subjected to. We find ourselves following Police Chief Brian Irons down into the RPD parking garage, who is then attacked by zombie gorillas? Oh no! No, it's a zombie dog. That looks like they used a virtual reality app to implement it into the movie. Can I just say, Donald Logue is playing Chief Irons, another brilliant actor who unfortunately found his way onto this movie set, and he had to pretend to be scared of this fucking thing. Next, we get a mix of random shots, including Brad Vickers being attacked by zombies, Chris and Claire standing in the rain, while the worst song that they could have ever chosen for this trailer starts to play in the background. You're telling me nobody, not one person, thought to use Zombie by the Cranberries for this trailer? Claire tells Chris they need to contain this and then races off into the night on her motorcycle, leaving Chris's actor to think about why in the hell he ever signed on to be in this movie and reevaluate his life's choices. Next, we see shots of the RPD, Chris looking confused, and Claire grabbing a shotgun in the RPD armory, which is bullshit because we all know you can only get the shotgun in Leon's scenario. So much for sticking to the source material. Leon proceeds to ask Claire if they should go because even in a zombie apocalypse it takes women forever to get ready. She then hands him a Kevlar vest reminiscent to the one he wears in the remake. Yay, more fan service! Next we see Alpha Team approaching the Spencer mansion, then a shot of William Birkin pulling away a white sheet revealing a female test subject on his laboratory table. I feel like she's the same zombie woman person that's also shown throughout other parts of the trailer, but right now we can only speculate as to who this is. A few more quick edits reveal a young girl who I assume is Sherry Birkin. Leon and Claire take an elevator ride down to some kind of dingy basement where Claire finds an old projector with film showing Birkin studying the Ashford twins because fucking fan service. Yes, let's not get through the story of Resident Evil 1 in a single movie and build upon that with future installments. Let's tell Resident Evil 1 story and Resident Evil 2 story at the same time while also introducing plot elements from bullshit Code Veronica, all because Claire's the main character in this and she was kind of the main character in that game for like 5 minutes, and we gotta just throw familiar set pieces and characters at the audience every 5 minutes so that they'll believe this is a great movie. And because it's got all the things and stuff from the games, so it's already better than the Paul W.S. Anderson film series, even though Resident Evil Apocalypse introduced elements from the Resident Evil games too, and honestly did so 1,000 times better, and in a more subtle fashion as to not fuck up the rest of the movie. You see what I'm saying? This movie already seems like one big Easter egg. It's like they chose the elements they wanted from the games to put into the movie, and then built the movie around their inclusion rather than just making a movie and including those elements. Look at the truck driver scene. He's not barreling down the road after Claire and Leon, who have to get out of his way before that maniac rams them. His crashing his truck doesn't cause Claire and Leon to split up, forcing them to find alternate routes to the police station. And do you know why? Because he crashes outside of the police department! That scene literally serves no purpose other than to say to the audience, hey, remember that from the game? Claire then finds an umbrella binder containing information on Lisa Trevor. Alpha Team makes their way into the Spencer mansion, and Wesker tells the team to split up. At this point in the movie, the team is consisting of Chris, Wesker, Jill, and Richard. We don't know where Barry is. The scenes cut back and forth between Claire, Leon, and Jill Wesker before we see Jill telling Wesker to run as a helicopter flies through the windows of the library/study. Again, some source material that I must have missed in the original and or remake of the game, but everyone online keeps telling me the movie is following so close to the source material, and if it's on the internet then it's gotta be true. We then see a massive explosion take out some of the mansion, while Chris and Richard are treated to the live-action reenactment of the zombie introduction from the first game and its remake counterpart. From here, He-Man sings his little heart out, desperately wanting to know what's going on. We're treated to a scene of a zombie writing "itchy tasty" on a glass window, which from the outside must look like gibberish to Claire, followed by a scene of the same zombie breaking through a glass window in an attempt to eat Claire. Now in the next few shots, zombies break through the RPD gates. Chris informs Claire that they've got to get out of there. Claire learns the truth, that Captain Obvious has been Chris this entire time. It's really just a montage of random scenes. Now, out of these random scenes are 3 that we really need to talk about, and let's start with one that's a bit easier on the eyes. Of course, I'm talking about the final part of the trailer where Leon and Claire encounter the liquor. First off, LOL, the one enemy that relies on sound to effectively hunt its targets, and Leon legit just yells, "Run!" Secondly, the liquor looks like it's been made using practical effects, making it the second creature to appear next to Lisa Trevor, not including the zombies, to have been made without CGI. But was there a CGI roulette or something? Like, why did they make the liquor a practical effects monster, but they couldn't do the same thing with the zombie dogs? They did it in Paul W.S. Anderson's version, and that was back in 2002. And it kicked ass. And don't get me wrong, I'm loving the practical effects they used to create the liquor, but it kinda looks cheesy in the trailer. I'm hoping it comes across better in the film than the imps from Doom Annihilation. Next, let's take a look at the zombie dogs. Okay, that's enough. Last but not least, holy shittlesticks, what is that? Is that supposed to be Birkin in his final form? Why would you tease that? Why would you tease Birkin's G-form at all? Especially with those effects. Fuck, that's rough. I don't know what to tell you, kids. You all wanted this, and some of you hate Paul W.S. Anderson and his movies so much that you're pretending this looks great. And all I'm saying is, I can take a turd and dress it up in Jill's Stars outfit. Doesn't negate the fact that it's still a turd. I mean, fan service isn't Flex Seal. You can't just slap a bunch of fan service onto a shitty project and make it great. And Capcom had to learn that the hard way. Overall, the movie looks low budget, very sci-fi, straight to DVD. I mean, I'm still gonna watch it, but if they had focused less on making sure everything from the games made it into the movie and focused more on the quality of the movie itself, I think a lot more people would be on board for this. And I say that because, as it stands right now, it just looks like they wrote an original script, a very loosely based story, and just painted everything in Resident Evil so fans would be enamored and distracted with the fact that the story isn't 100% following the same source material, which it's not. Truthfully, I know we don't want to say anything good about the Paul W.S. Anderson movies, but Resident Evil Apocalypse got it right. It was telling an original story within the Resident Evil universe, and when the time was right to include certain key characters and scenes from the game, they did, and it was subtle. It wasn't hokey, it wasn't over the top, and it worked. I know a lot of people are pissed over the actors they, casted to play certain roles, and usually I'm pretty vocal about that too, keeping portrayals close to the source material. The closer they look to the part, the better, but I'm actually not bothered by any of the casting decisions made here. People are freaking out over a dark-skinned Jill Valentine, but I'm gonna be real with you. She ain't dark enough. The other actor under scrutiny for their visual portrayal of a classic Resident Evil character is Gojia, this guy. And I can't figure out why people are losing their shit over Leon being Canadian. It's like the old adage says. Really, my biggest problem with it so far is the god-awful CGI. It's mind-boggling that What We Do in the Shadows, a mere TV show, has better CGI and practical effects than this, a full-fledged movie production, which if it had anything to do with financial issues, I blame the source material, accurate set pieces, and costumes. Because fuck, the movie was terrible, but damn, the RPD looked great. That liquor looked so realistic. This RE movie is dripping fan service, and I can't help but think that's why they're covering the events of Resident Evil 1 and 2 all in one movie, so that there's more shit that they can take from and throw into the movie. Those two events don't even happen at the same time, but fuck it, the internet says that this movie is more source material than the games at this point, so... Now, at the time of writing this, the director of the film did a trailer analysis, and gave us all some much-needed context on some of the scenes in the trailer, as well as some character backgrounds and exposition. Firstly, I'd just like to say, I was fucking right. This is Ben. Turns out Chris and Claire are orphans, and they grew up in the Raccoon City orphanage, which we're gonna learn is where Umbrella experimented on kids, including the Ashford twins. And damn it, I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that the Wesker kids are also gonna get an honorable mention as well. Claire is a conspiracy nut who left town at a young age but ultimately comes back to take down Umbrella. There's also a second trailer that came out a day or two after the reveal trailer that shows more footage from the film, including Claire hitching a ride from the Resident Evil 2 truck driver into town. Like in the remake, he eventually hits someone standing in the middle of the road, he and Claire get out to assess the situation. And the truck driver has a Doberman, who also leaves the truck and eats infected human viscera, thus becoming the first infected zombie dog. Now none of this makes sense though. I feel like the dog should have either been CGI, or maybe if he ate CGI chunks of viscera, like that would help explain why it turns into a shitty CGI zombie dog. But I digress. I wonder if things from the game are gonna get cut due to the length of the film multiplied by the amount of fan service already included in the movie. Like for example, they've got Lisa Trevor skulking around the Spencer mansion. So, what are the chances we'll get to see the tyrant in the basement laboratory? Is there a basement laboratory? Now, there's rumors going around that Jill, Chris, and Wesker are in a love triangle, which is sickening. I can't confirm this information to be true, but it doesn't surprise me considering Romero, in his treatment, also made Jill and Chris a couple, which is clearly out of character for both, given that Jill's destined to be with Carlos and Chris with... So what do you all think of the trailer? Start an argument in the comments section below, and be sure to stay tuned for more coverage on all things Resident Evil and more. Until next time, I'm Derek with GameSomniac, and I will catch you bitches later. Bye-bye!